Good morning, children. Today I want to discuss with you the earth and its living world. Already this lesson I had started yesterday, and yesterday we had seen lithosphere, hydrosphere and biosphere. These three topics. Today I want to discuss with you the topic the atmosphere and the water cycle. These two topics playing a very important role. What is the atmosphere and what is the water cycle? Both these topics are related each other. I will discuss one by one. Now first we will see the atmosphere. What is meant by atmosphere? Atmosphere means air. Air means what? The envelope of air around the earth is called as atmosphere. Overall, if you see that whole the earth is covered by the air. We can see that is a lithosphere means that is a soil or land. We can see that. Hydrosphere, it means that water also we can see that. In biosphere, it means the life also we can see. But this atmosphere we can't see, but we feel it that everywhere on the earth is the air is there. Now let's we see what is the air and what the other gases present in the air. We will see that. First we see that supposed to be this is the earth in the circle size. Now you know that round shape earth is there, and we had seen that how the water is covered by the overall water, how much land is there, how much water is there. Yesterday we had seen. Now in this shape also we see that this is the air is there overall. Now out of this air 78% nitrogen is there. Means whatever the air, whatever the envelopes of the atmosphere on the earth, the whole atmosphere, if you see that out of this 78% nitrogen is there, 21% it is the oxygen is there. Oxygen it means O2, nitrogen means N, and other 1% it is there other gases are there, carbon dioxide, water vapor and other many gases are there. In this way the classification of the air you have studied that. These nitrogen and oxygen, these are the major gases are there. Now let's see that what the atmosphere consists of the mixture of gases. First thing you have to understand, air is a mixture of gases. Air is not a compound. Water is a compound, but air is a mixture of gases. That everything you will study in the further means the higher classes. But now you have to listen me there. Nitrogen, how much percentage is there? 78. Oxygen 21. Carbon dioxide 0.35. Water vapor 0.40. And other gases are there. Other gases like the argon, neon, krypton, xenon. That all these are the noble gases are there. Now water vapor, what happens exact? That it has changes that place to place, that it is a changes that wherever the you know that in the coastal area if you see that water vapor is that is more in the air, and in the dry air water vapor is very less. Let's we see while I will explain the water vapor, that time I will say that. Now we come to the point. All these gases playing a very important role on the earth. First you have to understand how much the air is important. Do you know that without these gases life cannot exist on the earth? All these gases are interdependent on each other. It means that every gases are interdependent on each other. Now let's see that what is the nitrogen. Nitrogen, it is a major gas. Its percentage is very high, that 78% in the air. Who uses this nitrogen? Questions will arise there. This is not in your topic, but I am additional giving you this all the information because we are studying about the atmosphere. In the atmosphere, nitrogen is a major gas, which is the 78%. Means what is the use of these gases? These gases is used by the plants only. You will say, sir, plants takes the carbon dioxide or the oxygen, nitrogen where? Yes, nitrogen they don't take, but they takes the indirectly. Nitrogen they use. They takes the nitrogen indirectly. It means that they takes the by the roots, because the nitrogen is fixed in the soil, it is mixed in the soil, and that is after that roots they takes the nitrogen. For what purpose plants take the nitrogen? The nitrogen that is takes by the plant for the preparation of the proteins. Proteins is very important. That's why nitrogen is a nitrogenous substances. It means what? That is a protein. It is made by the protein. That it is proteins are made by the nitrogen. And that you know that protein how much important for us everyone, that protein is the bodybuilding food. That's why the protein is also made by the plant. Understood that? This much you have to understand. Now we see that is the oxygen. Oxygen is a very very important gas. You know that the animals used oxygen, that is for breathing process, and for oxidation process or the burning of the food, for that purpose is also oxygen is used. Now we one thing, only the one use of the oxygen we know, that is breathing. But apart from the breathing also oxygen is very, apart from the breathing of the oxygen it is used, means After eating you get the energy, but after decomposing that food, the energy you get that. That's why we breathe the oxygen. Now we come to the point, carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is also very useful for gas, that is for the plants, because the plants prepare the food. That process, that photosynthesis process. In the photosynthesis process, plants receive the carbon dioxide from the air. They take the water from the roots, and water and carbon dioxide mix each other in the presence of sunlight, and after that the plants prepare the the glucose or the carbohydrate. Now that is a photosynthesis process. In that process, carbon dioxide playing a very important role, and in this way you have studied the nitrogen, carbon dioxide and the oxygen. Now you see that how the plants and animals, they are interdependent on each other. That plants in the photosynthesis process, they prepare the oxygen, and that oxygen received by the animals, and the animals, they breathe out the carbon dioxide, and that carbon dioxide the plants, they receive. In this way, plants and animals, they are interdependent on each other. Now next point, you see the water cycle, water vapor. There water vapor is also very very important. In the air, water vapor is one of the component of the air. There I said that somewhere we see the water vapor is more in the air, and somewhere we see the water vapor is very less, because it depends on that is the situation, and that is the that climate it is there. In the coastal area, if you go on the sea beaches near the coastal area, there the air is very, that is a high humidity, that it is means the more water vapor it is there. And if you go in the dry area in Rajasthan, and where you will see that that water vapor is a very less percent in the air, and that is very important. It means overall you should understand water vapor is a very important, where it is role in the water vapor. Water vapor is playing an important role in the water cycle process, because the water cycle process is overall depends on the only water vapor only. That now you see that other gases are the noble gases or the inert gases. These gases is also very important. Now we come to the point, next point, the different layers of the atmosphere. Now we come to the point, atmosphere. In the atmosphere, you have seen that atmosphere, it means that is the air. In the air, the following gases are present. That information we have already did that. And in the atmosphere, clearly it is classified into the atmosphere. It is classified into the troposphere, stratosphere, the mesosphere, lithosphere, and the exosphere. Now one by one we will see that. Troposphere means what? The overall, if you see the earth is covered by, this is a atmosphere, and the atmosphere has the following the layers are there. The troposphere, it means what? The layer that extends from the earth's surface to the height of about 13 km is called as a troposphere. Troposphere, it is a downmost, that is a layer, and that it extends from the earth's surface to the 13 km up that. This much area, it is a troposphere. The condition in the troposphere changes continuously. Troposphere is playing a very important role. Whatever the layers are there, in that layers, troposphere is playing a very important role. Whatever that is, everything is happening in the troposphere, only that. Now one by one we see that the object, the living world, to a great extent, this whatever the living things, mostly they live on the earth, and they affected by the troposphere. There the surface of the earth gets heated due to the heat it receives from the sun, and hence the air nearest the surface is hottest. That the earth gets the heat from the sun only. That means whatever the earth we are getting the heat, we are getting from the heat from the sun, means that automatically the land or the earth, it gets the heat. But near the earth, whatever the air is there, that also it will be that is a warm air, it will be there. It becomes a warm air, and that warm air, that is a hot air, its weight is very low weight, that is a very light air, that is weight is less there, and obviously the light air, it goes the upside, and as we go higher in the troposphere, it becomes cooler, and from the surface of the earth, as we go upside, that you will find the cooler air, but at the bottom of the earth you will find the very hot air. Because why the hot air downside we see, and why the cool air at the upside? Because the downside earth is there, they receive the heat from the sun, and whatever the air at the bottom, that air is also becomes the hot. That's why the questions may arise that time you have to understand that because the bottom earth bottom air it receives that is the heat from the earth, that you have to understand that. Now we come to the point next. Almost all the water vapor is contained in the troposphere. It means that whatever the water vapor it is there, means the evaporation process, transpiration process is occurs in the only troposphere only that, and the water vapor you will find in the troposphere only that. That's why all phenomena such as the formation of the clouds, rain, fog, wind, storm, snowfall, all these that is a weather related phenomena, means this process occurs only in the troposphere. Troposphere is a very very important because that weather related all the processes occurs only in the troposphere only that, because the water vapor is in the tropospheres only that. Now see that the air on the high mountains air rarer, and then the air near the earth surface. Just I said na, on the earth surface air is that is a means that is that air is that density or that is a pressure, it is a more, but as we go upside the air becomes that is a very rare that. Why it is there? Now see that why the questions may arise there. Why the mountaineers carry oxygen in cylinder when they climb the mountains that are more than 5,000 meters high? What could be the reason for that? Generally mountaineers they climb the mountain, that time they carry the oxygen cylinder. Why it is there? You know that at the height of the 5,000 meter or more than that, the air is very rare. When you go from the earth surface from the that is up there, the air it becomes very rare, and in the rare air it is maybe limited, means the O2 you will find very less there, and that's why these mountaineers they carry the oxygen cylinder while they climbing the mountains. Understood that? What I want to say that as we go from the surface of the earth upside, the air becomes very thin and rare, and in the rare air oxygen is maybe less or limited, and we won't get the full oxygen. That's why the mountaineers they carry the oxygen cylinder while they climbing the mountains. Understood? Now see that aeroplanes fly in the higher parts of the troposphere. There the air is very rare. Generally all the aeroplanes, everything, it fly that in the troposphere only, but the high portion of the troposphere. Sometimes also that arrangement should be that is a pilot, they have to see that whether the passenger they are getting the oxygen or not. That time they should see that. That's why this is also very risky, that is flying that. Now therefore the arrangements have to be made to ensure that the passengers get the enough air for the breathing or not. This is also you have to see. That's why the aeroplanes also they will not more that high that everything it is going to the 13 kilometers below that only that. Understood that? Next we will see the stratosphere. This is second layer that. These two layers are very important, troposphere and the stratosphere. Now beyond the troposphere up to the height of about 50 kilometers from the earth is the layer called is as the stratosphere. Means the from the surface of the earth above the 50 kilometer, this much area is covered by the stratosphere. 1 to 13 kilometer troposphere, and above that stratosphere is there. Now in the lower part of the stratosphere there is a layer of the gas is called as the ozone. It's very important that what is the ozone gas, what is the ozone gas, what is the use of that, you have to understand that. What ultraviolet rays coming from the sun are harmful. Always the sun gives the rays some ultraviolet rays, and that are very harmful for all the living beings then, for living things. But the ozone layer absorbs them and protects the living world. Means the ozone layer, it is very important gas. It is covered overall this earth just like the umbrella. Whatever the harmful rays it comes from the sun, that is ultraviolet rays, and that all the ultraviolet rays it absorb, means that is just like this gas sieve the ultraviolet rays, sieve all the sun rays, ultraviolet rays is absorbed and the pure rays comes down on the earth. This work, this function is being done by the ozone layer, and that's why ozone gas is very important. Questions may ask you that how does ozone gas protect living beings? So you have to say this way, that because the ozone layer, it absorbs the ultraviolet rays which comes from the sun, and if that ultraviolet rays, it absorb it and other rays after, just like the sieve, and it comes down. In this way you have to say that. Second questions also may ask you that distinguish between the troposphere and the stratosphere. Now you have two layers are there, and these two layers, how we can distinguish between them, and whatever the I discussed the point, you have to write 3-4 points. This troposphere 3-4 points, and the stratosphere also 3-4 types. That is, you have to explain it. This question answer will complete that. Now important questions again. Rainbow also, it is can be seen the troposphere only, that. And other scales also will be that is important, we will discuss by seeing the picture. Now see, here I have drawn the diagram of the that atmosphere of the atmosphere, one of the sphere of the earth. Let's see that I shown here the troposphere, it is there, which that is extend up to the surface to that 13 kilometer, and that is in the troposphere is the air is so heavier, that higher air pressure is there in this layer, and the aeroplane also fly this only that layer, it is there. After that, surface to the up to 50 kilometer extent, that is a stratosphere. And the stratosphere is also important, because lower side of the stratosphere is the ozone layer is there, and the ozone layer playing a very important role, because the ozone layer, what happens to ozone layer, it absorbs the ultraviolet rays from the which emits from the sun, and that it will not directly fall on the earth. Ultraviolet rays can be absorbed by the ozone layer, and in this way, that is that the protects of all the living things on the earth, it is protected by the ozone layer. And after that, you see that is a mesosphere. Mesosphere is one of the third layer, it is there in the atmosphere. In that layer, the hot balloons can be seen, and they can fly in the mesosphere. After that, ionosphere, or it is also called as the thermosphere layer, that is the satellites fly, that we can send the satellites, and they can, that is in the ionosphere or the thermosphere is there, they can fly in the ionosphere. After that, last, that is a sphere, that is a layer, it is there exosphere. Here very low pressure is there, and air is very very thin in the exosphere, and that is a that is a air low pressure is there, very low pressure air is there, and the downside, it is the air is very high pressure is there. Now what the textbook picture is there, according to that only I have made it that. Now we will see, this is a textbook picture is there. Now you see this, the earth atmosphere, this is a troposphere. You have seen that? Now you are seeing, this is the clouds are there, winds are there, snowfall, rainfall, fog, water cycle, every process is going on in the only troposphere is there. All the weather related phenomena occurs in the troposphere is there. Now that's, you have to understand that. And after that, you see the stratosphere there, and below the stratosphere, just stratosphere, troposphere, above the ozone layer is there, and that also just I explained that. After that, you see the mesosphere is there. After that, ionosphere, you have seen that is a satellite flying in there. After that is the last is the exosphere is there, where the air is very rare and very low pressure is there. In this way, this is a diagram. In the exams also, you may ask the questions, draw a well neat diagram of the atmosphere. That time you have to show that earth downside. After that, that is a layer, you have to throw the line, and you have to show it that, and some specific, that is a special characters or the features, whatever I said, that you have to mention in the diagram, and definitely you have to understand. Now we will see the next point, what is the water cycle, and that water cycle also I will show you the diagrams here. You see that. Now first I will explain, after that again I will show you the water cycle diagrams. Now we will see that water cycle diagrams. Children, water cycle is a very important thing. You might have heard this word, that is the water cycle, or from the from the many years you have been studying about the water cycle. Somewhere every year you that is listen the water cycle. But exact what this year you will study about in detail. I want to explain you that water cycle really it is a natural phenomenon, very beautiful process which occur in the nature. What happens in the water cycle? The constant that is the circulation of water from the earth to the atmosphere and back again to the earth is known as the water cycle. Water cycle, it means what? That circulation of the water. From the earth water goes in the atmosphere, and from the atmosphere again water comes in the on the earth. This process is going, and this process is called as the water cycle. Water is going in the atmosphere, from the atmosphere again water is falling on the earth, and this is the circulation of the earth is called as the water cycle. So who does that? Who do this process? And naturally this process occurs in the nature that, and that's why it is a very beautiful natural phenomenon. Now see, water cycle is beautiful natural phenomena. It is a continuous process. One thing you have to understand, water cycle, it is a continuous process, means continuously it is going in the atmosphere. Now whatever the factors are, what the steps are in the water cycle, that we will see that. Now see that how the water cycle occurs in the nature and what are the steps of the water cycle. Now we see that one by one I will explain that. Evaporation process, transpiration process, condensation process, cloud formation, precipitation, that is rainfall. These are the steps we find in the water cycle. One by one we will see what is the evaporation. Evaporation is the process where water changes into water vapor. That process is called as the evaporation. Evaporation process is also continuous process. You know that where the evaporation process occurs, everywhere the evaporation process is occurs. Now I will read out this point, and after that I will explain that what I wrote that. On heating, water evaporated to form the water vapor. Evaporation is a continuous process. It takes place all the places and all the times. Water evaporates at a shade, at a room temperature also. Evaporation is faster in sun, and heat and wind speeds up the process of the evaporation. Now you see that water cycle, in the water cycle evaporation is playing a very important role. This is the first step. It is a continuous process. It happens everywhere. But evaporation process, what the factor affects the evaporation process? These questions may come to you. That time you have to understand that. Which factor affects the evaporation process? Sun, that is the heat. Heat affects the evaporation process. More heat, evaporation it will be more. That is, it will go speedily that. If the wind is there, the evaporation process it will go fastly that. Supposed to be when your mother wash the clothes. In the summer season you might have seen that the clothes that is dry up very fastly. But in the rainy season or in the winter season, our clothes they don't, that is dry up fastly. Why? Because the atmosphere is there, because the sun is there. In the summer sun is there, more sun is there. That's why evaporation process it occurs fastly. Understood that? Now we come to the point transpiration. Transpiration is just like the evaporation process, but it is a different process. Transpiration process it occurs only the plants. This process occurs only the plants. Plants loses its excess water in the form of water vapor from the stomata, which is present in the leaf. You know that transpiration is a very, very important. Its transpiration process also the water is loses. But who loses this water? Plants loses that. Excess water in their body and they loses through the stomata. The stomata has the tiny pores are there, small holes are there, and through that tiny pores the excess water they loses that, and that excess water loses where it will go, it is mixed in the air only. That is a water vapor. In the form of water vapor, excess water is removed by the plants through the stomata, and that process is called as transpiration process. And that is also very important because overall if you see our earth is there, 30% that is a forest are there, 20 to 25 to 30% forest are there, and this much huge forest every moment every day they are losing the water, and that losing water, where it is going? That losing water in the water vapor form, it is mixing in the air, and that's why this water vapor is also playing a very important role in the water cycle process. Now this everything you will study in the higher standard, but this year transpiration process I made you understand that you have to understand. Transpiration process is a process where the plants loses the water in the form of water vapor through the stomata from the leaves. This way you have to understand. Now the next point we will see what is the condensation. What is the condensation? Condensation, it is a process, except it is the opposite process of the evaporation. In the evaporation, what happens? In the evaporation process, water changes into water vapor. But in the condensation process, what happens? Water vapor changes into water. This process is the opposite of the evaporation process. Water vapor changes into the water, and on the cooling is known as the condensation process. Condensation process is a very important process. These two processes playing a very important role, evaporation and condensation. Condensation and the evaporation, these two processes exact opposite that. Now see that water changes into the water vapor, this is evaporation. Water vapor to water, it is a condensation process. Understood that? Evaporation and condensation is taking place all the places and all the times. Understood? Now I want to make you understand in just that is a in deeply what is the condensation. Now you can do this experiment at home also. What you have to do? What you have to do there? Take one apple that which is kept in the refrigerator. From the refrigerator, you take one apple, you wipe up that apple and put on the table. After 5 minutes, you see that you will find that is a water drops which stick on the apples. Now you will arise that you will confusion where from that water drops it comes. That is a condensation process. Means what happens? You have kept the apple on the table, but that surrounding the apple, whatever the air it is there, in that air water vapor is there, and when this water vapor contact with the cold things, that convert into the water. Means the water vapor converted into the water. That process is called as. You will say, ये क्या जादू है? कहाँ से आए पानी के drop? Then you know that apple is the cold things, and when the cold things contact with the water vapor which is present in the air, that water vapor convert into the water, and that is called as the condensation process. All you will do this experiment at home then for better understanding. Now I will come to the point, formation of the clouds. Very important. Questions may ask you that. Formation of the clouds. How the clouds are formed. Now one by one. Fine dust particles are ever present in the air. In the air, actually what happens? The fine dust particles are there. And what happens? Due to the sun's heat, the water, whatever the earth's surface, is continuously evaporated. And the water vapor is lighter than the air. That's why it rises up in the atmosphere. And due to the cool atmosphere, the height of the water vapor condenses and forming the tiny droplets of the water, and these tiny droplets of the water come together to form the clouds. Clouds are collections of the tiny droplets of the water around the dust particles floating in the air. Now again I will explain it that everywhere if you go there, in the air has the small dust particles are there, and due to the sun heats, whatever the water on the earth's surface, that is evaporated. And evaporated, when the water evaporated, means what? From the water vapor is forming that, and that water vapor it mix in the air, and that it's whatever the dust particles are there, through the dust particle water vapor is there, and water vapor basically it is a lighter than air, and that's why it goes upside. When the water vapor it goes upside, and the upside it is the cool air is there, just I said that, and the cool air when contact with the water vapor it condenses that, and after condense it means that the tiny water drops it forms that. The many tiny drops when come together it forms the clouds are there, and the clouds nothing but is a collection of the tiny droplets of the water around the dust particles, and you know that, and that floating in the air. Now see that, and the main reason for the formation of the clouds as the humid warm is there. And after that, when the water drops in the clouds become bigger and heavier, when the many tiny drops it come together, clouds is formed, and when the clouds is floating in the air, and one time it will come that cloud is bigger and heavier, and that time they fall on the earth of rain, as there is called as a precipitation. When the clouds is the heavy, and that time the whatever the water it is there, it start to fall down, and that when that water start to fall down, that is the rain, and that is called as the precipitation. That is important. What is the precipitation? Precipitation, it means rainfall, it is there, that process is there. Water drops coming down the rain is called as the precipitation. But actually sometimes what happens, while the rainfall is there, and when this rain when the raindrops coming down from the through the cold region on their way to the earth, it gets the frozen, and somewhere we see that is ice fall, that is a hailing snowfall, it is there. You know that somewhere we in that rain it is coming now, when that rain drops it going through the very cold region, frozen it there, and that small icy crystals forms, and many icy crystals comes together, join together, they form the hail, and that is a snow and snowfall it is. You know that snowfall mostly it is common in the hilly area, in the mountain area. Now let's we see the diagram of the water cycle. That is very important. That now you see this is the downside, this is the earth is there. On the earth, you know, evaporation process and transpiration process is occurs. And what happens, the evaporation and transpiration already I explained. The water vapor it mix in the air, and after that from the air the mixing, when it will go upside, that water vapor is a condense, and after the condensing the fine water drops it will form, and after that fine water drops, all many fine, that is the water drops, it comes together, formation of the clouds it form, and after that that is that clouds it becomes very heavy, that it start to, you know, split, that clouds are burst in that, and whatever the air whatever the water inside, it start to come down, and that is called as the rain, or it is called as the precipitation. In this way I want to stop here. That may God bless you. Thank you.